Hi, and welcome to Tony Time. Thank you very much for tuning in. On our show today, we have one of our council members, the president, Ward 2, John McCurry. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know what? You're running for re-election again.
I am.
And what about everything going on? I mean, I think it's wonderful.
Well, the garage has been voted on. You've been watching, you know I voted against it.
Yeah.
But now that it's been passed by the city council, I think the council needs to get behind it, and I think the city needs to get behind it. Because what we don't want to happen is have it fail.
True.
We need to make it succeed, and that will only benefit everybody. So now that that's passed, I think everybody needs to move on and support the garage and its efforts. So that's my plan moving forward.
Well, you voted against it, but now that it's going to go forward, you seem very positive now.
Well, you can't dwell. If I've done that, whether it would be the garage or the budget or anything else that didn't go your way, you have to respect the wishes that the council voted on, and then you have to support it. So I'm going to stand behind it and support them. So that's where I stand currently. Do I think we needed a garage? No. Do I think the mill owner should have paid for it? Yes. But now that we're past that stage, we need to move forward. You can't dwell on the past. You got to move forward.
Right, right.
So.
Right. You know, as I've been at City Hall videotaping the meetings, I'm impressed by everybody.
This council, I think, has worked very well together. It's well diversified. You never know where any of the votes are going to come out. In years past, you could pretty much tell where things were going to happen. But I think this has been a very diversified council. It's been a lot of good, healthy debates, and I'm really glad to serve on it. I think we've done well. We don't always all agree, which is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if you all agree, then you don't have the debate and hopefully change somebody's mind to your direction, or maybe they'll change yours to theirs. So.
Well, what I notice is that all of you have a respect for each other.
Very much so. If anybody's watched any of the meetings, we can disagree, but we do it with decorum. And I think in politics, that has gone by the wayside. Right. I think, if we brought decorum back, I think things would be a lot better. We can differ on opinions. We can differ on points of view. We can differ on everything. Mm-hmm. Just got to keep it with decorum.
Well, you know what I like that you always do? When somebody, when the public comes up to speak and everybody listens, and there have been times where you've come back and you've explained, you've broken it down in such a way that it makes, I think, the public know that they're heard. Mm. I think you hear what is being said. And when you come back, it makes a lot more sense.
Well, I like the way we do it now where the public speaks, and then there's other business so we can come up and talk. And if there's questions raised, we try to answer them at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good. And a lot of times I have the answers, so I will try to get it, or at least my point of view on that answer. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was one where, with the paid parking, I voted for paid parking, voted against the garage. Yeah. I wholeheartedly support the paid parking program because that's having the users that are utilizing it pay for it. Where if you're a diner or a shopper, it's free parking on all Main Street, all the side streets, and there's 2-hour free parking in the yellow lot, which I wish we'd just go back to naming the lots because it's how I know them by. So there's a lot of free parking in downtown, but we don't get that message out how much free parking there is. And I've said that we've got to get our communications better to let the people know where all the free parking is. I was at the recycling center the other day, and they says, "Why do you support that?" And I told them, I says, the funds that are generated by that actually pay to have the parking lots repaved. If they weren't generated funds, that would have came out of the tax dollars. So that would have been on you as a taxpayer that don't even use those parking lots. I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot with all the parking waivers and everything else the city has done over the years, and I think we've created our own parking catastrophe, so I think it's good.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't understand why the public really doesn't understand. The main streets are still the same.
It hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. I mean, I can go downtown.
Yep.
I've never had a problem with parking. And I don't know why that message isn't sinking in.
Yep. You know, it's funny because back when I was on the council, the first go around, you know, the DDC, which has members that aren't there any longer, that was their big complaint, was on Main Street that the business owners and the employees were coming out moving the cars every 2 hours. So that the people that were coming down to try to utilize the businesses had no place to park, because, so that's when we started trying to get a little better, but it still happens.
Yeah.
You know, if they parked, and if the business owners and the employees parked elsewhere, that would definitely open up more parking for people to go dine and shop and just enjoy the downtown.
Exactly.
And the downtown is looking pretty good right now.
It's looking wonderful.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of new shops that have opened.
Yep.
I noticed that more so the other day. And things are coming together.
We're going to be voting tomorrow night on one of the pedestrian crossing lights that you push that turns yellow.
Yeah.
And I got that on for tomorrow, and my goal is that we try to figure out a plan where we need more of these, and then try to implement it for next year using some of the TIF funds to pay for it, so we can put more of those crossing lights on. I like the way it is across Main Street down by Mechanics Park going into the mill. They got one there. We need multiples.
Multiple ones.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going across Main Street up by Portland Pie, that's a dangerous place right there for people. So
yeah. Now, you're running again.
Yep.
What's making you run again?
Well, I like to fight for the budget. If people know me, I'm pretty conservative, and the sewer user fee has always been a pet peeve of mine. So, and they're talking about changing the fee structure, and I don't know how that's all going to shake out yet. And I've been asking, because at the last budget we said, okay, we passed it with a slight increase, but they wanted a large increase to make up for a deficit that happened, you know, for the last 12, 14 years, that they were charging, they weren't charged, well, they were double counting, whether they were giving credits and billing, so it was inflating the numbers. So it was $1 million shortfall in there that we have to make up, and that's the sewer users got to make that up. And it's, you know, it's got excess capacity, you know, which I think we should be charging for. It shouldn't be just the users that are paying for that excess capacity, because without the excess capacity, the city can't grow.
Right.
You know? So it's just like the sewer separation. That's got to be a city side, because if you separate the sewer versus the stormwater, that gives you more excess capacity, so then you can grow the city more, whether it's the mills or housing development or whatever else you need to do. So I'm worried about the user fee and how the price structure is going to be. That usually gets to me.
Since I just have come into all of this, and I'm learning a whole lot, and I love it, what changes have you seen from the time you joined the council? What have you seen as far as growth coming? I mean, it's been a long haul and it's been difficult.
Oh, yeah. And
I know that.
There's ups and downs in everything that goes on. You know, some businesses survive, some businesses don't. So that's why they call it business. But I think the city is growing in the right direction. We need to grow the downtown. I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's in the urban core. It's the easiest place to grow. It's the biggest bang for your buck. And if you can TIF some of that stuff, it's really good. I don't agree with the credit enhancements, but TIFing it,
Yeah.
it shelters the funds, so it doesn't hurt our state aid for education, doesn't hurt our state subsidy for the city, so it doesn't hurt any of that, and you can use those funds for the downtown or that within that district area. When you give the credit enhancements, that's just giving the money back to the developers, and I have a hard time with that. I think we've come past that. The city, I think, needed to do that in the beginning to help spark it.
True.
And then once it's sparked and it's starting to go, I mean, we're talking about buildings selling, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 more than what they're assessed for. Well, if that's happening and it's doing it, we shouldn't have to give so many credit enhancements.
Yeah.
Just my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm maybe on the short end of the stick on that one, but that's where I stood on that piece of it.
Well, listening to you at City Hall, in that you really have everything broken down. And as I said before, you explain it very clear and very to the point. You don't sugarcoat things.
That's what a lot of people like about me, because they
I
know
like that too.
exactly where I'm coming from. And I don't waffle.
No, you don't.
I stay the same track all the time.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
Yeah. So you know, that's just my demeanor, I guess. Everybody usually knows where I stand on a lot of the
Yeah.
issues just because of the way I've voted in the past. You know, it's like they know the budget. You know, a lot of people don't understand. You know, say the taxes are high. I agree the taxes are high.
Right.
They are. You know, but you know, when you have a budget that is, you know, 66% is just wages and benefits, that's a lot of the budget right there. And then you got, you know, almost, well, 9% is debt. So you got 75% of the budget is made up of 3 items, you know, wages, benefits, and debt. There isn't a whole lot of other stuff. So,
No.
I mean, you know, I was glad we actually reduced some of the budget this year. I got the council to agree to reduce some of it. Otherwise, we would have seen a higher tax increase, and I don't think we can do that. So the way you can offset that is to grow the city, get more value. It helps offset.
Absolutely.
So the more value you get, you can maintain the taxes or lower them. So
Now, I heard when we had one of our meetings and the public was talking about the flowers and the planters, and they're in the way, and they're this and that. They're not in the way.
I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. They said they're in the way. I says, so if they weren't where they're at, that means you'd be driving over there? I says, you'd be hitting cars. And they says, well, they're right in the road. I said, they're not in the road. I said, they're on the sides, and they're on the sides of the crosswalks. I says, do you know you need to have 15 feet on each side of a crosswalk that you're not supposed to be able to park in, so that pedestrians can see oncoming traffic and traffic can see the pedestrians standing? And they didn't realize that, you know, there's a state law how much room is supposed to be on each side of a crosswalk. So, but they still don't like flower pots. But I think it makes the city look nice.
It does.
I think downtown looks nice, and if you're driving over there,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing over there. You'd be hitting a pedestrian or a car. You'd be hitting something over there.
Right.
So, but what surprises me is how fast sometimes cars are still driving down Main Street. It just shocks me. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I've seen that quite a bit. It's more the young kids going through there, and that's what I see. You know, I don't see people our age driving that fast through there because we're looking at what's happening and what's going on. Now, curiosity on my part.
Yeah.
Were you born and raised in Maine?
No. I moved to Bedford in 1979. So I've been here quite a few years.
You have.
Yeah, I grew up in Newburgh, New York.
Okay.
Then we got married and wanted to have kids, and we wanted to bring them up in a different environment.
I get that.
Where we grew up was pretty drug infested and gang infested, and it wasn't a place that we wanted to bring children up. came up to Maine and loved it and been here ever since. So,
Well, I can tell your love for the city and for the growth. I see it when you're doing a meeting, and whenever your hand goes up to question,
it's not often.
you know, I take that camera and I zoom into you. Okay, now what is he going to say, you know? But you always have a logical explanation.
Well, I think whether it's myself or this council in general, I think everybody is doing a great job on preparing for the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, so they're actually reading the documents and getting prepared for the meeting, so that they can have their whatever way they're going to vote, or whatever way I'm going to vote, or whatever questions we're going to ask. But I think you've got to be prepared. You can't go to a council meeting and look at what's on the agenda that day. And we've had councilors in the past that have done that, where they'd open up the packet when they got there. You're doing an injustice, you know. You
Right.
need to be prepared, and I think I try to prepare myself for most of it. So
The newest one on Amy Clearwater, boy, she has a way of saying things and breaking things down as well, but in a completely different way than you.
well, we're two
You're-
different spectrums.
You sure are. And watching that, I mean, I'm
That's-
really enjoying it.
That's a good, healthy debate.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen people who, okay, somebody doesn't like Trump and somebody does like Trump, and it gets nasty. I don't know what happened talking and respecting the other person's decision. What happened to those days?
Yeah, and we don't criticize each other
you
for
don't.
different opinions, you know. That's your opinion, that's fine.
Yeah.
I've been on councils where they would criticize your opinion, you know. But that's why I think this council has done well with not criticizing wherever you lie on whatever issue.
Exactly. Exactly.
I wish we would just do that in all the politics, so.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good example there. So what would you like the audience, the community to know when they go out to vote?
Well, I'm physically conservative. I look at the money as being my own, you know. I think that's what you have to do and what you can afford. And, you know, we may not agree on we can afford everything. And I'm a big proponent of making sure we keep the sewer user fee down, because I think that's just a hidden tax, and I really hate it. And the schools, I think, are very important. I mean, the schools have changed over the years. I mean, everybody says that we're not good in this, we're not good in that. But I think the schools have done a tremendous job and have really moved forward in a lot of good aspects. I mean, what I don't think a lot of people know is that, you know, right now in the school district, there's 40 different languages within the school.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so I mean, that's one of the hurdles the school is dealing with, is 40 different languages. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot. So things have changed over the years, but I think the school department, I think the school committee, I think are all doing a good job. They're all trying to move the schools forward, and that's what I want us to do too. You know, be back to excellence. But granted, you got to realize that there is some other hurdles that may change what the numbers look like.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And that always happes. I mean,
And the homeless population within the school district too.
I couldn't believe
I
that.
couldn't
when I heard
believe
that.
that.
I couldn't
I mean,
believe it either.
Yeah, and one of the other things I didn't realize is if a child says they're homeless because, you know, the parents don't have a regular house, and then they find, you know, they're surfing or whatever else, and they're living in Westbrook or Gorham or wherever they're living, we're still responsible to go pick that child up, whether it's in Lewiston, and bring them to school and bring them home. So it's added a whole lot of extra cost to the school system.
Yeah.
Because it used to be when you went to another town, another city, that's the school you went to.
Right.
But laws and rules have changed, and I'm still learning some of the newer ones that have come out. But I really think Jeremy has focused on the kids and improving it, and I think the staff at all the schools are fantastic. and all the principals. I think I think we're in the right direction, and I think we can keep it moving forward, and I see that happening.
John, we're running out of time.
Okay.
And I just want to thank you for your time and for being here and letting everybody hear what you have to say.
No problem. Thank you, and have me back anytime you like.
You're welcome. Don't get up.
Okay.
Okay. And I want to thank everybody for watching our show today. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.